Do the Jets have to justify winning the Super Bowl or justify the Aaron Rodgers deal by winning the Super Bowl? Hey, and by the way, how much pressure is on Jalen Hurts to win the Super Bowl? How much pressure would you have on Jalen Hurts? If the Eagles get bounced in the opening round of the playoffs, will that be a failure? Funny. Let's do something here that was last year a failure. Was last year a failure for the Eagles? Gigi goes, give us the context. No, you fill in the context. I asked you a broad question for a reason and a vague question for a reason. Because I want you to fill the narrative in. Gigi, I'm asking you for your narrative on how you saw last year play. No failure. No. Every team is a failure without a Super Bowl. As long as we sweep the Cowboys, I'm good. What's with the hypotheticals? There's no hypothetical. To suggest that you're going to win the Super Bowl is quite a reach. It's not what ifs. You didn't win it last year with the better roster. I asked you, if you don't win the Super Bowl, it's a question. It's not a what if. If you don't win the Super Bowl this year, there's no given here. This isn't pro wrestling. It's not rigged. If you don't win the Super Bowl, is it a failure? They're asking the question in New York, does the Jets and Rodgers have to win a Super Bowl to validate all the moves they made in the offseason and all the money they invested and draft choices they sent to Green Bay for this to work? Yes, for the Jets, and I think there's pressure on Hurts because he set the bar in 2022. We know he can get there. He has to prove he can win it. Interesting how people see this. It is so hard to win that last game. Okay? It is so hard to win that last game. You could be the best player at your position in the NFL and never make it to the postseason. Ask OJ. You can have a Hall of Fame career, never ever play a postseason game in your entire NFL career. Is that a failure career? Or is that an organizational thing? I don't think it's ever on the players. I think it's an organizational situation. Because if the Eagles fail this year, it would be because they don't have enough depth or there's a position that they're light on compared to where they were a year ago. I think organizations set the table to win championships. Okay? You were so deep last year and so lucky when it came to health. You had 23 starters. 17 of the guys you drafted in a Super Bowl game. No team, I've never heard that stat. Your 22 that started in September, started in February. Who's ever heard of that? Okay? To think that you're going to have that 2 years in a row is insanity. If that's your bar, and get this, if that's your bar and you lost, man, doesn't that tell you that this whole thing comes down to the way the ball bounces organizationally, your quarterback play, your coaching, all of that? Your coaching and decision-making, I believe, cost you the Super Bowl. Is that Howie's fault? Howie didn't have experienced coaches to go against Andy. It was plain and simple. The one thing you didn't have last year in the Super Bowl was coaching. Am I wrong? You had the health. You had the unit. You had the depth. You had the players. You had the quarterback. Many of you think he outplayed Mahomes. What didn't you have? Howie putting good coaches on the field. Doug Peterson wins that Super Bowl. All of that, what I'm getting to is, all of that is Howie not tooling special teams right. Not good coaches and poor special teams. That's Howie. That's an organizational thing. If Jalen doesn't get to the Super Bowl, unless he plays poorly, he could have the best year of his career. People are going to go like this in Philly. Well, they failed. Well, not really. If he continues to show progress. You see, look, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Many of you are trying to turn Jalen Hurts' career into a sprint. This is a marathon. You've got a window here of about 5 years to figure this thing out to get a Super Bowl and a chip. And inside of that time, if you win one, it was well worth everything that you've gone through. You're not going to win. Dude, the guys that win multiple Super Bowls, those are so exceptional guys and organizations that had so many things go right. The Cowboys. And by the way, as many times as I bring up Jimmy Johnson, what's the one thing Jimmy didn't have to deal with that Howie has to deal with every year? Salary cap. Free agency. Players in today's NFL get to move around. Players back then were kind of like ball and chain to the organization that they played with. So there was little movement back in the day compared to what there is today. Today, it's harder to be a GM, I think, than it was back in the day. I think it's harder to be a GM today, to keep rosters together. I would even make this point to you. One of the reasons why the Dallas Cowboys fail massively every year is because Jerry's trying to do things he did in the 90s. That's not how it works, bro. Howie's a progressive general manager. I would make this point to you probably here right now. Howie's already probably looking at the 2025 season and what the roster is going to look like in 25. You're right. Winning a Super Bowl is extremely difficult. Winning multiple is even harder. If Hurts wins one Super Bowl in his career with Philly, he was well worth every dime. And the amount of equity that everyone put into watching him grow into it. Dude, enjoy the journey. If he happens to win two, phenomenal. If he wins one, he'll be the only player in Philadelphia football history to take a team from point A to point Z and win a Super Bowl. That's a legacy. So if they get to the NFC title game, and he's got the 2 NFC title games in 2 years, and he's won one of them, to me, these are resume builders. You tell me if in 5 years he's been to 5 NFC title games and he's won a Super Bowl and potentially he's won an MVP. You're not going to tell me he's not the greatest quarterback the Eagles have ever had? And saying that, I'm too hard on Jeffrey Lurie, Big Sills. No, you're not too hard on Jeffrey Lurie because Jeffrey Lurie is the guy that's got to put it all together. You're not being too hard on a guy that's won one Super Bowl in 30 years. Okay? You're not. I mean, Jeffrey Lurie is a great owner that's not getting a payoff for the things that he's doing. Actually, what the owner of the Eagles is doing is changing the game. You see, the guy, Jimmy Haslam in Cleveland, thought he was changing the game with guaranteed contracts. The other owners balked at it. But what Howie and the owner of the Eagles are doing, they're giving the players that play well in Philly the money up front. helping them be able to keep players for the 5th year. Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, is probably going to always have good players around him. Dak Prescott is a prime example of the past NFL. You don't really have great players around you anymore. Dak's first year starting, he had great players around him, right? Now, does he? I wouldn't call CeeDee Lamb a great wideout. I wouldn't put CeeDee Lamb in the top 5. Yet because he plays in Dallas, people call him the top 5 wideout. Not here. He couldn't. How about this? He couldn't crack the starting lineup at Y and Z in Philly. He'd be the 3 guy for sure, but he'd have less targets. I don't think CeeDee Lamb could start in Philadelphia. Who's he beating out? Devontae? Not happening. Runs better routes, more disciplined routes. He's a more disciplined player. Is he better than AJ? Not close. AJ's a running truck. He's a truck. That's not happening. I think Devontae Smith is way better. I do too. I think he's better than Lamb. So back to the question, is there pressure on Jalen to win the Super Bowl? You're the starting quarterback of an NFL football team. That starts there. You're the starting quarterback of an NFL football team based in Philly. Dude, they look at you one way, winner, loser. There's no other way to look at you in Philadelphia. No other way to look at you. Okay? So, yes. One more thing, too. I'll say this. Okay? Hurts is pressure. Hurts has pressure. He does, but he knows this. The organization knows this. The heat is on. Now, I want to get your thoughts on what you saw last night because I gave you my take. And I see Batman Sills fumbled his take on Dean. Not at all. He wasn't very good last night. I don't think being run down and run over and dominated in the first quarter was a good game, do you? The Browns' second team dominated Carter, Davis, and Dean. Do you really think that punch-out arm tackle, he played well, and that covered the other missteps? Truly, you thought that. When in fact, you had the ball, they had the ball 34 plays. You had it 12. They dominated the first half. Oh, please, see? He saw a different game than what I saw. One more time, though. I saw a football player that needed more reps. Carter and Dean and Jordan Davis got knocked off the ball. Was that a mirage I was watching? Was that a mirage I was watching when Cleveland's second team O-line was knocking them off the ball and knocking them down to the goal line, and it happened to be for a turnover? It stopped the series. Was that a mirage? Was I watching a mirage? Dean made one play. He needs to show more. No way. I'm ready to back up the Brinks truck. Good for you, Tone. I thought you'd be one of those Philly people that were sitting there because he made an arm tackle, knocked the ball out, raving how great he played. And because Sirianni's cheerleading, making it, once again, try to snow job the Philly media and fan base, that you would read through that, and you did. Okay? Again, no. He did things that normal players who don't see reps, he did exactly what I thought he would. Okay? So Arthur goes Dean bald. How could somebody say that the Eagles balled out when Cleveland ran the ball down their throat? They owned time of possession, the amount of plays. They had 100 yards in 30 plays in the first half, or excuse me, in the first quarter. How is that where you thought they played well? What 3 and outs did you see? And that was the Browns didn't start one guy. The second group ran you over. You didn't even beat the second team. And Carter and Dean and Davis started. They ran them over. That's not a mirage. That's right. Cognac. He just needs to play more. You know, when you're sitting here and you watch him do this, and he false steps to his left, and he goes back into the play, that's a minus. Even if he's chasing down and makes the play, that's a minus. Your false step, because against starters, you'll be beat. Not against 2s and 3s. The defense struggled last night. Louisville goes, the defense is going to struggle this year. McKee was legit. And again, I made the point to you about him. People go like this, well, I like to see him play against better people. Well, I like to see him play with better people. Ian Book and Mariota need to be cut. I wouldn't cut Mariota. Okay. Joseph, they didn't play a starter. You had 3 in the triangle starting last night. Your entire triangle is your starting triangle in many ways. With Carter, Davis, and Dean. And they got knocked off the ball. Hey, Brian, play calling was vanilla? That's a sham then. If you're telling me that the Browns didn't run anything and they still kicked the shit out of you, knocking you off the ball, Houston, you got a problem. So they didn't run anything exotic, but just smash mouth ball. Okay. Go back and look at the play sequences. 30 plays to 12, 100 yards in the first quarter. And that was with those guys in there. That's how it played out. They got knocked off the ball. But, Duel, you shouldn't be surprised. It's a lot of inexperience. Hey, by the way, Duel, I'm not discouraged. They just need to play more. Here's the perfect point that Tone hears me say every day and everyone else says. This is going to take some time. Okay? This is not going to be instant. You're going to see big plays given up. Now, with Reddick out there, Slay, and Bradbury, Reddick and Josh Sweat, of course that's going to look better. Of course it's going to look better. And I think Zach Cunningham's got to start at the will. I would start Cunningham at the will. Yeah, I'd start him at the will. We're complaining about second and third stringers. Hey, 5-star, those second and third stringers for the Browns knocked your first team guys on their ass. Complaining? No, I observed it. I know. People go like that. See, they see one arm tackle. And the morning host on WPHT, who I know, tweeted at me. He goes, I'm just giving you some SH, you know what, Dean with the play. And I'm like, yep, thank God. Stuck his hand in there after overrunning the fit. Eagles want to skip the growing pains and crown Dean in order for Squire to become king. He has to go through a few wars to gain the respect of his people. Look, I think that's the beginning of the process. That's right. Hey, Josh, I'm with you 100%. That's another great one, Cognac. Inexperience won the day. Yes. Inexperience. Cognac, I'd rather hear this. Well, they're just really inexperienced than this. Man, they have no talent. Well, who would you rather be? And the Eagles are not the ones with no talent. Who would you rather be? Would you rather be the team that says, man, we just need more experience here, man. We just got to get these guys more reps? Or this one, man, we have no talent. Like the Houston Texans. We have limited talent here, man. I don't want to be in that room. I want to be in this. We just need more plays. That's right, Brian. Brian, when you get the experience, you might be better than a year ago. But this is going to take time. This is not going to be an overnight deal here. Okay? This is just not. That's why games like New England are important. I'd rather have talent and have to figure out than be on a team with no direction or talent. That's exactly been my off-season point. That has been absolutely my off-season point. Brian goes, so you're telling me we're not going to win the Super Bowl? No. So let me ask you this. So last year when Kansas City lost their two corners and Honey Badger, and they had to figure it out with rookies, a rookie pass rusher and two rookie corners. Do you think at the beginning of the year when they dropped the game to the Colts, people were going, what's wrong with Kansas City? Or do you think they were trying to figure it out? Because at the beginning of the year in September, they were clearly not the team that beat the Eagles in February. That's what I'm telling you. Hang in there. It's a process. How in the world does Patrick Mahomes drop a game to Matt Ryan and the Colts last year? How do they drop a game like that? Well, because their defense had lost a ton of shit on the other side, and the cornerback play wasn't good enough. They figured it out. Spagnuolo figured it out, and as the year went on, they got better. They got better. They figured new schemes out, and they were able to stop people. That's what this is. See, I think you think I come on here and bash you and the Eagles every day. I'm telling you what they have to work on. I'm telling you that your first 8 games are going to look completely different, barring injury, than your last 9 games. It's going to be completely different because your team's going to, hey, by the midway point, he's a veteran. I mean, you got 10 games under your belt plus preseason. Dude, you're getting there. You just need to keep doing it. Okay? Kansas City lost to the Colts, who you beat. They lost to a Colt. Pretty good, too. Because they couldn't figure it out. Damn. Our defense isn't good enough. Had nothing to do with Mahomes. As great as Mahomes was, he lost to the Colts. And they won 14 games. But they lost that in the first 4 games of the year. How's that happen? Well, better watch out for New England. This is what I've been telling you about New England and why that game is significant. The Patriots have great coaching, a great defense, a very good O-line, and a talented backfield. A quarterback who they're going to rein in and try to get games in the fourth quarter and outcoach you with O'Brien and Belichick. That's formidable. On the road, too. Not at Lincoln Financial. Dude, I would give you this. If it's at Lincoln Financial in the opening week, I'm a little more relaxed. On the road, Brady night with those coaches, and they have the formula to beat you. They can run the ball at you. I saw a second-team Browns team knock your guys' dicks into the dirt last night. Okay? Don't let that continue to go on. They need more reps. Okay? I mean, this is going to take time. I mean, if Brady's on that Patriot team, you're not beating him. You're not beating him. Mac Jones on that team, you're beating him. If you do it right. Sal goes, Sills, who are your starting safeties? Terrell Edmonds and Reed Blankenship are my starting safeties. With Kayvon Wallace and Sidney Brown as backups. Brown's not ready to start. Not anywhere close to starting yet. He's not ready. He still runs with his hair on fire. They'll take advantage of him. You know, it's just too chaotic right now. It's a little too chaotic. Patriots O-line is a mess right now with 3 starters who haven't had a snap yet this summer. I don't know, Paul. Since when has the Eagles guys started down in the preseason? I haven't seen them. Organized team practices? Okay. They're not getting a ton of reps. The Patriots will be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes? Highly doubtful. Highly doubtful. Dude, they had a top 10 defense last year in National Football League. They got a back that's better than anything you have in the backfield. Okay? They got a good football team. They got 2 edge rushers that are compatible with yours. You're out of your minds. They're a good team. They could stop the run. Their linebackers are better. And they got Belichick. You're better. You are better. Okay? You are better. Who's better on your team than Stevenson? Do you have a back on your football team that's done anything what that guy's done? Do you? The answer is no. Matthew Judon can play. He was in the conversation for the NFL Defensive Player of the Year, too, along with Reddick. He can play. And the other guy who has 11 is not bad. Swift has never done anything near what Stevenson has done. Stevenson had 60 catches last year for almost 500 yards receiving and 1,000 rushing. He's never done anything near that. Just because you don't know the last name doesn't mean he's not a good player. For a lot of rookies, the game is moving too fast still. Well, I'd rather have Sidney Brown running around with his hair on fire than slow playing it. And what I mean by slow playing it, like last night, you saw Dean slow playing a lot of plays because of those poor steps that he had. Even the play that he made knocking the ball out, he was out of position on the run fit. He reached in and grabbed because he overran the play. That was an improper run fit that he made a play on. Good. It saved it because if he doesn't make that play, that guy goes down the field on him because he overran it. That's a fact. Watch the film. I did twice. I think Zeke is going to be used more for third down back blocking and picking up blitzes. To that point, I would say that's what I would say, that if you're looking at it was a goal line like he knifed in. No, you mean he ran around a block. That's what he did. He ran around the block. Watch it. All you have to do is watch the film. It's not that difficult. You can go back and watch these games, folks. Go back and watch it. It's not hard. You don't have to be a superstar expert. You just don't have to be blinded. Go back and watch it. Again, I'm not debating someone who's never played inside the trenches like that. I'm not debating that. Pete goes, Sidney Brown will figure it out, but by December. Pete, I think he's going to probably figure it out by the end. Yeah, I would think he could figure it out by the beginning of November. He just needs to slow the game down a little bit. Okay? He's playing with his hair on fire, and he's chaotic, and it's kind of all over the joint. And I'm not down on him. I'm not down on him. Okay? Not at all, as a matter of fact. I think he's shown a lot. I do. The Eagles are not trying to tackle, trying to knock the ball out. Well, that's how you get run over, which they did. The Eagles were run over. You know that guy, Elliot Spitzer, Shore, Paulie, whatever? He bullface lies in the game he sees. I don't know how you don't go like this. The Browns had the ball for 30 plays. The Eagles had the ball for 12. The Browns ran the ball or had 100 yards in offense. The Eagles had 36. I'm not sure what you're watching. It's very simple. I'm really not sure what you're watching. So when you say that to me, you show ignorance. The time of possession even doesn't help your argument. When a team controls a 13-play drive in the opening drive with your starters versus their 2s and 3s, I'm not sure what you're looking at. If you're seeing a mirage, then I can't help you here. Okay? Time of possession. That's right, Brian. Time of possession, field position. Two most significant things that win football games. And, of course, not turning the football over, which, by the way, is a formula that the Eagles dominated teams with a year ago. Don't turn the ball over. Time of possession and field position. Those 13-play drives they went on to open games, then their defense getting a – dude, do you know what the most crippling thing that the Eagles did a year ago? There were some significant things, and here was the identity of the Eagles a year ago. They were constantly in third and short. They would open games out most likely between an 8 to 10 to 12-play drive. Then they would immediately turn around on defense and get a 3 and out. And then right then, you're behind the sticks if you're the opposing team. Then you're playing constantly behind the sticks because you can't catch up with that. Because once they get the ball back, they go in another 7-play drive. How many – do you know what was really the coolest thing? Tone, I don't know if you witnessed this as well. How many series did teams get against the Eagles last year in games, in a 60-minute game? 6? Tops? I remember games against the Eagles where team had the ball 3 times in the first half and maybe 4 in the second half. I mean, you're going to get between 6 to 7 series when you play a team that puts 10-play drives on you. And then all of a sudden, you get 3 and outs on the other side. All you need is 4 3 and outs on the other side. You limit a team to 7 series, you're going to win those games. They were constantly third and short. They were limiting players, and that's what they couldn't do in the Super Bowl in the second half. They couldn't limit the touches that Mahomes had in the second half. That's kind of what played itself out a little bit. I want to take a look at week 2 of the NFL. Philly Godfather is going to join us at 5:30 Eastern time. We're going to get his thoughts here. Don't forget, folks, our great friends at Hooters are celebrating their 40th anniversary, and we are so proud to be with them. I cannot wait to get to the King of Prussia Hooters, where we're going to be doing so many great events this year. By the way, all 7 locations in the Northeast area. All you do is go to northeasthooters.com to find one of the 7 locations nearest you. For you to be able to experience this fall what I've been talking about, your fantasy draft parties, this is where you want to go. Exhibition football, I heard it was absolutely over the charts last night. Tonight, Saturday night, Sunday, Monday, this is the places you want to go to have yourself a great time and get some of the great food that I've been talking about now for over 40 years myself. The daily specials Tuesdays, buy 10 wings, get 10 boneless. On Wing Wednesdays, this is a 40-year anniversary tradition. All you can eat for 1983. 6 items, your favorite drafts, put them together with your fried pickles, your steamers, your great sandwiches. Your burgers are special when you go to Hooters as well. Absolutely awesome. The iconic Hooter girls are there to serve you too. Again, northeasthooters.com to find that location nearest you. And we are going to be at the King of Prussia all year long, each and every single month, waiting for you and having a great time as we get ready for. Hey, by the way, we're going to be doing tailgate parties. How's that? So we're going to be inviting you to tailgate parties as well. That's northeasthooters.com. And when you go to Hooters, do me a favor, tell them Big Sil sent you.